Welcome back, everybody, to NECC. My name's Infernosis, joined here by the wonderful Yelkrab. Always a pleasure to cast with him. You'll have us for the next two games as well, if I remember correctly, off the schedule. So we got a couple hours ahead of us here for some really nice teams. The first one going to be, chalking up here is going to be, Northern Essex Community College. We'll call them the NECC for short. What a coinky dink there. And then, of course, UC Davis's squad, a second seed versus a seventh seed here. It's going to be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, it definitely is. I'm looking for NECC Northern Essex to just come out full tilt because they were coming off of their pretty much only loss of the season. Yeah, only loss of the season last week in the regular season, but they had like three starters missing and it kind of left a real sour taste in their mouth. I'm in the lobby right now, so I can tell you that they've got everyone here. And I'm thinking that they're just going to really just go gung ho and try to play their game and go back to that dominant team that they were all season.
Absolutely. I think one of the big things to keep into, keep a hold of yourself here for is that you're going to see a lot of powerful plays. In this division here for the Challengers division, it's a lot of aggressiveness, a lot of just unbridled aggression to come forward. So we're going to see a lot of contention, I would say, when it comes to fighting in a lot of these brawls. So a brawl comp could be what we see. I mean, that's a usual go-to thing. And when you talk about the NECC 4 Challengers divisions, they are the defending NECC Challengers Division champions, and this is their second year of their program. So they're looking to make it two back-to-back, so it's another thing to keep rushing, keep in mind. But for the opposing side, UC Davis, they like rush comps. They like to run in. They like to play forward. They have a very young roster in the terms of that their team is new. It's very fresh. The first tournament they ever were in was 3 months ago, so they've made it all the way through here, and now they're fighting to not be knocked out of contention here for this Challengers division. And what a tough way to start off.
Yeah, and they're one of those teams too where if you look up and down their roster, you can see players who are slotted for tank or DPS. And on ladder, they have a peak that's higher on a different role. So it's one of those rosters where players are joining because they love the game of Overwatch and they'll fill any role they need to on this team. And I kind of like to have a team look like that because then you have these high ranked players off rolling a little bit and they can bring some big brain plays, but maybe I don't know. The rank just doesn't reflect it. It can really kind of surprise you if you just look up and down the roster. But NECC, pretty much everyone plays their main role, not just their main role, but this is a team that doesn't really flex around too much. They like to run a lot of brawl, and they're one of the best in the division at it.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see a lot of probably speed boosts into fights when it comes to Brawl, right? You're going to see a lot of them trying to quickly get into the face of the opposition. Everyone knows if you don't have a Lucio when you're bringing a Brawl, then what are you really doing, right? Quite
Oh yeah.
honesty. I mean, you've got to get into the fight. You've got to get into their face. You've got to have that contention going forward. And if you're not able to get your Rhine into that battle to start swinging and dealing that a large amount of damage to get that shatter charge up, to get that, third ability up for himself, then you kind of are wasting the opportunity. So I know for a fact that SGK Carroll will be bringing out the Lucio quite a few times. They are a pretty big Lucio main when it comes to that, so we'll see her bring that to the table. We're going to see, of course, Freaky J come through as well, who is apparently a standout player on multiple roles and multi-talented as a regard. So maybe we see an Echo if they're able to play more than one, style of play. Maybe we see them come out and try to play a little bit of everything.
That would be nice to see. I know Freaky J has previously gotten player of the match in a game that I've casted. Pretty phenomenal player, very flexible as well. I think they actually got player of the match, if I'm not mistaken, on a game where they played tank. I think they specifically played Zarya and Tilted for some reason was not here. But yeah, that's just the kind of firepower that this roster brings. Like I said, they like to play their main roles for the most part. Freaky J, though, is one of those players who has pretty much an equally high peak on DPS and take. So that's just their utility guy. And as a team, you'll love to have that in your roster because the meta can change and teams have to adapt on the fly so often every couple of weeks in Overwatch. And Freaky J really fills out this roster in a way that allows them to play at a very high level, patch after patch.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things you have to keep in mind. You got to be able to stay consistent at that level of play. And if you're not able to do that, then one off week could be the end of everything. And especially now in this playoff season here for the NECC, an off week is off everything. You're out. It's going to be the end of your attempts here in the playoffs. And while a lot of teams maybe haven't made it to the playoffs in the first place, these teams that have fought their way in and have made it all the way through to here now have to fight with their life on the line in a technical sense for their team. So obviously, when we're starting off here, I believe we're actually going to Nepal first for this control point. be interesting to see this come through. You're gonna have to see a lot of aggression when it comes to fighting on Nepal. A lot of environmental kills could come through. We have seen this earlier today when I had the pleasure of casting previously with Nuclear. We saw a lot of environmental kills, 5 coming from one player on Ilios. But now we're going to see Nepal, which has a pretty good substantial reasoning for environmental kills as well. So I'm predicting maybe 2 or 3 total in this matchup.
2 or 3 total on Sanctimone. I'm gonna go with the over on this one if we were going down to Vegas. I'm gonna go with 4 or more. I think Carol's got to get active with the Lucio boop. I think she's got to be like, all right, I may be the director, but I can also game. And I think she's going to get at least 2. There's going to be a total of 4.
All right, you know what? I'll take you up on that. We'll take that one straight to the bank afterwards. I'll give you $1 Venmo if it's more than 4. And then I'll give it to Caroline, since she's the one who would have to do it.
That's a Sprite at McDonald's, any size.
Yeah, you're good, any size. Actually, I'll give you $1.09 for tax. I'm not going to be rude and make you pay that tax out of pocket.
Aw.
There you go. I'm a nice guy most of the time.
We're actually on Sanctum first Infernosis, so I think right out of the rip, we could have our chance at this little wager. And, if it was a 2-0 on control, we might actually have not even had a chance to see this map, but it turns out we will. So I made that bet before I was even loaded in and saw that it was a possibility. I'm glad you took me up on it.
Well, I'm very glad to see that it is actually this one. I would hate for it to be an unfair matchup, a no contestation, because it didn't happen, but we are seeing Caroline over onto the Lucio, as well as having X alone on it as well. So we're going to have multiple attempts for that to go through. You can see Khakis go for a boop off as well by diving into the Diva. Obviously, Ryan's can kind of charge off, but that, may put yourself in a bit of a poor situation as well to go for that. But beyond that, I mean, it's a pretty fair, even comp. You're going to have a Zarya on Tilted and Khakis on Diva, so nothing beyond that except for the Mei and Tracer differential.
Yeah, right now we can see both teams just posturing around this mega health pack room, just kind of turtled around, one team inside, one team outside, but the ice is finally broken here by UC Davis, and they're going to roll right into a pick onto the main tank. Kermi, Monterey takes them down, but playing with awfully low HP is Smokey the May. She's got to do a fair bit of work just to stay alive, but it seems like if she's able to, UC Davis should be able to rotate right around to this point and take it.
Yeah, they're able to stay on top. Osiris will be able to find 2, but Monterey finds Caroline in the process. And now you can have a difficult situation if you're the NECC. You're going to have to take a step back. They're going to take a step forward instead, because Khakis just got felled off after Osiris demeched them. And now you've got a poor situation, as it's going to be an objective retaken with only 8% off the board. An unfortunate position, and these Mei walls are trying to cut off one player, hopefully Kermi on the opposing side, but they're just not able to separate them in time for the wall is able to be disconnected.
And one thing UC Davis did succeed in that first fight was charging up their ultimates, but it's going to be, looks like Kermi dropping the slam, the first ult of the game, but a good job countering by UC Davis to get them through this mega health pack room, but now they're stuck in a grab. Carol is right up point blank, doing tons of damage alongside with Tilted. That's going to be more than enough to clean up this fight.
Man, Tilted's grab right there, phenomenal. They do pay the price from Khakis, unfortunately, but the teamwork and coordination beyond that, they'll clean up. Northern Essex looking hot right now as they managed to deny anything more than 8%, and they were able to hold on to the point as well, despite Smokey dropping in for a shatter of their own. But now you've got to do 4 ults on their side. UC Davis could really make this difficult for them.
Northern Essex just rolled right into a flashbang, and Carol, as well as the tanks, were taken down very swiftly. Infernosis, that was a great fight for UC Davis because they didn't need anything. They're going to flip this point with those 4 red check marks again and the Diva Bomb and Shatter coming online.
Yeah, and Smokey has that one extremely close. This is going to be, by the time this next fight happens, every ultimate ready. Khakis on lock now with the Diva Bomb, just hits the 100. Smokey just needs 1 Fire Strike to connect, and it is a guarantee. And you're going to be facing 6 ultimates. That is looking a bull straight down the horns. Definitely not where you want to be, but it looks like Northern Essex going to take a rotation around to the left side, maybe try and flank through, but they're going to get cut off. Kermi on the opposing side, they'll have to break the shield quickly, but here comes a garage door, the Blizzard, and they're trying to go in as well with that shatter, but it's not seemingly enough. Frozen players on the side of Northern Essex, but Kermi staying alive and fighting out, able to find Smokey the May in the process, but you've lost her Ana of Haunted Mage. Osiris takes an L, but Tilted finds out Monterey, and they're continuing the fight going forward, but they're lacking a little bit of heals because Haunted got taken out early in the fight.
What a phenomenal fight we're seeing. I mean, it still looks like Northern Essex is fighting fit for this, even though they were bombarded with ultimates. 3 of them to be exact, right in that little kill, not to mention they were Maywalled off by Blue Fire. I don't know how they were able to just fight and claw their way through that fight, only using what looked like Nano and Carol's beat drop. That's very little.
That's an exceedingly small amount of work you had to do to get through so many ultimates on the opposing side. UC Davis have a little bit of questions they need to have answered. They're going to have to find a solution. A nice anti landing into the side. Smokey taking a look at damage off the top and under the hook for a short period of time, able to just buy a few seconds. But here comes Osiris, speed boosted and ulted as well. And it's going to go Kermie with a shatter, finding so many impacts, gets 2 kills off of it. But Khakis finds 2 of their own. Caroline and Tilted taking a short death. And Monterey cleans up Kermie in the process as well. But Osiris will find 3, saving Northern Essex's attempt here almost single-handedly, and they'll secure it 100% to 59 in the end.
That was insanely clutch from Osiris. Just no shield in front of him, just claiming the point as his own, taking any callers as duels are concerned, and able to just gun down 2. Had the Ana walled off, no heals in sight, and that's what got Northern Essex the round win. Pretty phenomenal play to this point, and we're seeing 2 very different styles of brawl. One with a Mei, one without. One very run and gun, one very based around this Mei wall and taking things rather slow.
Yeah, I really like seeing a McCree taking a little bit of a step back, you should say. Like, you're not putting everything into the line pretty early on and just kind of playing your own game, sitting onto the objective is exactly what we saw, and they were able to find massive impact because of it. You don't necessarily have to face check every single fight to have to get that right click to go forward. You don't need to fan the hammer for every kill you need. McCree does a substantial amount of damage with just left clicks, but a very quick movement onto the objective. Now it looks like UC Davis looking to take control of the point pretty early on once that control point unlocks, but NECC, Northern Essex, looking to take the high ground instead and fight it out on top.
I think Northern Essex has the more favorable positioning, especially with Freaky J on the Hanzo. That character is just insanely amplified as far as his value is concerned, and he can just hang back, use his range, and Osiris wraps around with that frontline flash banging down Axelone. Khakis, antied awfully low, has to cling to their HP. It's falling fast, but Monterey able to beam down Osiris in the backline to keep them in this fight.
Yeah, right on right battle right now. They're just swinging. A shatter comes through. It's mostly blocked, not just by his shield, but also by the Mei wall. And Axelone will collect the kill into Kermie. And Smokey finds 2 of their own to Haunted Mage and Tilted. This is a tank differential right now, is able to block so much. And I don't just mean your mainline tanks. Blue Fire with these walls, with cutting off players, able to keep themselves on point, not just to buy time, but to buy their own lives in the process. It is very difficult to get past these initial walls on this side.
Yeah, and UC Davis, they're running a fantastic strat with the Sim and the Mei. They have the teleporter from this high ground back down to the point to retreat, and this Mei wall up close like we're seeing right now. It is so tricky to get through. Freaky J expends his ultimate just to take down Axelone, and it might get them through, but it's only going to do as much as expend a few of UC Davis's ultimates.
Yeah, Blue Fire just collects so many, will be followed by Kermie, but Kermie gets charged straight into a brick wall. It will pay the price from Smokey. And while you do have a player contesting, that'll be Carol, and they will be felled out quite quickly afterwards. So a bit of a stagger on the spawn, and now Northern Essex has to kind of wait a few seconds longer to go forward. But with a 65% to 0, Northern Essex have a couple of questions they need to be answered. They need to get on point, get some ultimates charged. We've got a lot at about the 80% mark. Tilted should be able to get that one charged up for this next fight, but the question still remains, who is this Nano of Haunted Mage going to go on to in this next fight?
I would love to see it just go right onto the main tank. That's going to be what they need to keep them alive through Monterey, who's already at a level 3 beam. Kermie couldn't stay alive long enough for the Nano to come online, and one by one they start to fall. Have to be careful, already at 88%. Khakis get sent up into the skybox off camera, and in the meantime, Smokey the Mei finds 2 in the feed, probably to close this round out and tie this up 1 aside. In Prognosis, I was really impressed by the use of that Sim TP to just both claim the high ground and the low ground, just a step away from each other.
Yeah, we know that Northern Essex really like to play that high ground initially. They took the high ground in that initial fight, let the other side, let UC Davis take the objective and fight when it was, not open just yet. And they said, hey, we also like the high ground, so we'll just take the best of both worlds, as Hannah Montana once said. So they get themselves in a position where they can say, hey, we'll fight you anywhere and in everywhere you want to, and is exactly what happened. So it's going even breakneck here, 1-1. This will be the final contestation point here, no matter what, for this map. It's a toss-up at this point in time. There's no way for an environmental kill unless you get greedy and have to go for, or needy, I should say, and have to go for that big health back on the side. It's just going to be a lot of brawling on this central point.
Yeah, and Monterey sticking on this Symmetra Blue Fire on the Mei. I think this is the composition they want to run with. And NECC not changing a thing. I think they're thinking that last map just wasn't theirs. They are going to switch the hit scan that Osiris is playing, but really not much of a change there.
Already an objective fight going on. It's an anti that actually connected from Haunted Mage, connecting and finding 3, but it's not going to matter. You got a Mei wall to cut off space. They're already punishing the 2 players in the backside because Tilted gets too far, and Osiris is caught off guard as well. And Smokey finds a Fire Strike into Haunted Mage's face, and Monterey cleans up the rest of the supporting line. UC Davis spectacularly winning this first fight completely one-sidedly.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about with the beams. Monterey looks so dangerous once they get that Symmetra beam charged up, so it's doing just an insane amount of damage as long as it's pointed at someone. And going up against a big old Reinhardt like Kermie means if he's holding his shield backing up, Monterey charges ammo off of that so he can effectively keep his beam charged forever and just walk forward. That's what we saw in that last fight. Everyone stayed compact, and the beams were just way too much to handle for Northern Essex.
We already see a Dragon Strike coming at him from Freaky J. It does find a little bit of impact, but it's going to be an Immortality Field that saves Kermie. Finds a Fire Strike to Smokey, but Osiris, who switched to the Reaper, finds Monterey refragged back by Blue Fire. But Kermie will not be felled. A charge to Onizuka, and then finds Axelone with the swing. A cleanup done quite swiftly as Kermie and Tilted. It's just that frontline duo that's finding so much impact, and we do see Carol as well switching off of their go-to Lucio pick. Maybe the Mercy is just the exceeded amount of heals that they need to stay alive in these fights.
Yeah, and Kermie was just everywhere that fight, doing things Reinhardt is not expected to do, like Fire Striking 2 for just final blows, and then coming all the way across the point with the charge, taking down another. Now he's got the Shatter lined up. Friendly Shatter blocked by the mid wall. That one's huge. It finds 4 with the stun. Immortality Field taken down, and a Flash and Tilted rolls into the kill on Smokey to Mei. And it seems like easy work here for Northern Essex. They'll continue to hold this point.
Kermie finds 4, just completely de-establishing UC Davis's attempts. And there's nothing they can do about it. Osiris lets Onizuka walk away for just a little bit of time, but will race step over, hunt them down, and complete the kill. And they'll now be above 40%, the side that UC Davis was able to get to. But this fight, now that they've got enough heals behind it, they let that Shadow from Smokey connect to nothing, and then Kermie dropped one in return. But now look at that top left corner. Kermie has another one ready for this fight. Those 4 kills connected. Grab coming out from Tilted. Another Fire Strike, Dragon Strike comes through from Freaky. Not finding anything besides Kaki's Diva Mech. And it's going to be a garage door. Traded Kermie!
Oh my god!
That Shatter as they find so many, and Northern Essex will capitalize off the top of it. But they're going to have to revive out Kermie, and it's going to be Monterey, who was staying so alive and continuing to be so damage dealing, but it will not matter because Northern Essex will just swing away and clean up the last few.
And Infernosis, you could just tell they were not ready for that slam. That was a devastating 5-man shadow. They're all with their backs against the wall. And now Northern Essex, they've got their backup rolling into the point again as they've gotten to final fight territory.
I don't think they knew that Kermie's Shadow was available. I just don't think they realized just how quickly that was, but it's going to be a little bit more of a contestation here. First stepping onto the staircase, a boost does come through. Osiris drops the Death Blossom, but doesn't find anything. Tilted does instead as Freaky finds a Stormade Onizuka, and the bomb will not connect from Kakis. Cleaned up now as Kermie gets a Shatter in, finding 2 up top, and cleans up over there. Freaky jumps another Dragon Strike off, and the last player of Kakis D-Mech'd and D-Lifed. It's going to go in favor as Northern Essex will narrowly escape losing the first map and will ultimately take it in their side.
I was having so much fun just spectating Kermie on my own right there. He was doing everything on that point. We see it in the play of the game. I'm not even sure which Shadow this one is. It can't be that obvious. It's going to be, of course, this one. Through the Immortality Field, cuts down everyone, leaves nothing left of UC Davis.
Just finds 4 kills. I mean, literally got 2 kills in the same swing on top of that, and just astronomically important to their side. Maybe the fact that Blue Fire is dropping 31 kills with a 70% kill participation, that's insanely impressive. But when you've got Kermie with 8 Earth Shatter kills alone, 17 stuns with an Earth Shatter, they were not missing any time. I think I saw 1 Earth Shatter that didn't find any impact, but they were just charging him so many times and just connecting with so many of them. It didn't matter that they missed 1. They ultimately will lose out on round 2, but it doesn't matter because they'll take round 3 spectacularly.
Yeah, that was a real feel-good game for the front line of Northern Essex. I think they're going to keep the momentum going into these next couple of game modes. If I was UC Davis, I would imagine hybrid is next, correct? Or 2CP?
Uh,
Hybrid?
hybrid, I believe. Yeah,
I believe hybrid. Yeah, if they go Kings Row, I think Kermie is just in the driver's seat of this next map. He looks way too strong on Reinhardt right now.
absolutely. And you don't like to always say that it's like a frontline differential, right? But it really does feel like that when you've got Kermie, who's just so spectacular. And I talked about this earlier with nuclear. It stinks that tanks right now are just everything. It's so easy to give a player the game rating to a tank because they're just so prevalent with this brawl composition. But when you've got a player like Kermie that sticks out this much, it's exceedingly difficult not to give full props to that. That's absolutely insane. They've played phenomenally throughout, and with the support from their backline, Haunted Mage with some fat antis we've seen connect throughout and really made it difficult for UC Davis to step past choke points. And of course, the online threat of having a Lucio to boop you off, and then rotating over to an agile and hard-to-kill Mercy. There's a lot of questions UC Davis has, and I think one of them is going to be, what the heck do we do now?
Yeah, and Infernosis, I hate to say it, but we are going to Kings Row, so I'm not
Mate?
sure. UC Davis, we are going to Kings Row. NECC gets to choose their side, but already picked is Kings Row for UC Davis. Very interesting choice after that frontline battle just went, but honestly, I'm looking at Blue Fire and Monterey on these DPS picks, and I think those are DPS picks that more favor this map, so I do see where they're coming from. I think they can strategize in a way to topple this Northern Essex team.
You think we're going to see a Symmetra go up on top of the teleport for the statue's head and drop
Don't
down?
be ridiculous.
We saw it earlier today. We saw it comboed with a Bastion, and they just swept house. They systematically just tagged point, took it over, and it worked so well. Once a day.
Once a day. You already got yours.
Yeah.
I don't think that happens again.
You want to bet on it?
No. I already lost $1.
That is true.
I don't think anyone got.
You can win the dollar back.
I was so let down.
Yeah, we're going to have to get on to Carol about that later on for not enough boops to happen. But, I mean, I think it was a very good job by UC Davis to kind of separate themselves and not go near the ledge. They knew, right? A great outplayer from them.
Yeah, and going into Kings Row, I'm kind of interested to see if Kaki sticks with the Diva pick or goes with the Zarya, because Kings Row, obviously, everyone kind of knows it if you're familiar with the game of Overwatch, that this is the Rein Zarya map, but Reinhardt Diva is in such a strong place and such an aggressive rundown comp where I think Kakis can get away with it on this map, even though Tilted is incredibly strong at Zarya.
Absolutely. One of the biggest things to worry about when you're talking about Northern Essex is going to be that front line. We've talked and raved so much about Kermie. We've got to bring Tilted into contention as well. Great grab on first point for round one. We saw some pretty clutch grabs as well coming in throughout. It's just able to secure some damage. The Immortality Fields, I'm left with a little bit to gather. I kind of want any, Northern Essex to clear out those Immortality Fields a little bit quicker. UC Davis has some pretty good clutch Immortality Fields to be dropped. They weren't dealt with quick enough. We saw one right there in that last play of the game from Kermie. They kind of left it up there for a pretty long period of time. The Immortality Field was up. They could have pushed that fight a little bit sooner. Ultimately, it doesn't matter because Kermie finds 4 back-to-back, but it could have been a much quicker fight, and it can go completely in the other direction as well. If NECC, if they're going to rock out and bring out a Baptiste and rock the Immortality Field in their own way, then UC Davis have to find that same answer. And one thing we've got to keep in mind, Haunted Mage, subbed out now. We've got Zara in, so Zara could bring the Baptiste. Maybe they're more comfortable with that on this map. Maybe they want to try and change things up so that it works a little bit better.
Yeah, the support substitute is a bit interesting because you were just running Brawl, and I can't imagine you change it up too much here, but Zara coming in does kind of tell the story that this is a team that's looking to run probably a Baptiste, either a Baptiste or a Zen, but on Kings Row, I would imagine they're going to go with the Baptiste. No different looks on the side of UC Davis. They've got subs to come on in, but instead they're all going to hang out over there in the spectator slots as we get into the map. I think we see a very similar look from both of these teams. I think Northern Essex continues to run the Grav Dragon. They've done it literally every single game all season, so expect a Zarya and a Hanzo. And then I think UC Davis, they're probably going to go with that Mei, but maybe change up the second flex DPS.
Yeah, I think the one big thing to keep in mind is we have notes here. We can cheat a little bit. So we got Zara. We know that they like Zenyatta Baptiste. Great call out. We know that they like that. So obviously a good choice for a map like Kings Row. And I think that any team that can put down an Immortality Field, you put yourself in a place where you can, fight a lot more uncontested. But the difference maker is, are you facing a team that clears those in time? Are you facing a team that goes in a different direction? I I guess, the pleasure of casting an NECC game, not on NECC. It was a different matchup in the two teams. One team would have lost. Absolutely would have been just completely steamrolled, but the other team didn't shoot their immortality fields. It hurts on the inside so bad to watch that team lose because the immortality field difference, they were thrashing them by all accounts. It was such a DPS difference. They were playing so phenomenally, just they wouldn't shoot the immortality fields, and they paid the price accordingly. I think they still make it into the playoffs, if I remember correctly. Both teams did, but it's so weird to see that it goes in that differential. We need to see, you know, the side of UC Davis counteract immortality fields. We need to see them work in the other direction. Both sides need to shoot immortality fields. I guess kind of the rant I'm saying. Unicorn has his, saying you have to bring Lucio. I'm saying shoot immortality fields.
Yeah, in the previous game that I casted, Concordia, Wisconsin versus Randolph-Macon, there was an immortality field that saved, I think, 4 people 2 times each. I said it in the post-game interview. It was insane. But now we've got the first fight underway, and it does look like Zara is on that Baptisto. Phenomenal look, very meta-looking comp, at least as King Grow is concerned. Osiris and Freaky J are going to get very busy on these high grounds that Northern Essex is already taking. Now they've rolled onto the point, starting to take almost half of the first tick, really putting UC Davis in a very difficult spot, and Smokey the May pays the price.
Not a good situation to be in. You've got Blue Fire exceedingly low, has already bricked up, and somehow has not been able to be killed just yet, but Monterey will be felled by Osiris, who had just found Kermie. And they're still trying to fight off, but there's really no mainline tank in the process, so we've got a difficult position to play forward. Carroll finding a nice 1-2 punch to Blue Fire, and they'll be able to take another kill as Freaky collects calls to Axelone. Osiris Donizuka, and Freaky continues to go off. I just saw a 360 from Freaky to tag Smokey the May, but Carroll will finish the kill. Freaky, that is nasty.
Yeah, he hit back-to-back disgusting flick shots and then kind of swagged out while he was shooting at the Orion as well. But yeah, pretty phenomenal Hanzo play so far. Just claimed the high ground. They had early picks, headshots down, Blue Fire, no problem at all. Everyone on Northern Essex is powered up thanks to that window from Zara, and they're just going to make it so difficult to even get back in contention here on the second point.
I mean, absolutely, and you've got Dragon Strike available, you've got Visor, you can combo this out. Kermie could get this shatter up quickly, but Smokey the May has theirs first. Could be difficult around this corner. They're going to stun out Kermie, now extremely low in the process. Smokey looking to punish, but the Lucio allowing them to speed boost backwards out of the find and immortality field at the same time, but Smokey with a shatter around the corner finds so many, and they'll clean up accordingly. Nothing they can do about that. Smokey knowing exactly when to pop that ultimate and will find it. What a great situation there for UC Davis to try and fight this back.
4 stuns set up by Smokey, and then the window thrown up by Onizuka. That's more than enough to win the fight right by the bookstore. They've got plenty of breathing room here before the second point finish line, before Northern Essex wraps up this sweep phase. But Northern Essex now, they've got tilted online with this Graviton Surge. It's going to be up to Khakis to make the play to eat it. Beat Drop isn't quite there yet. Freaky J just sitting on this Dragon Strike, waiting for the opportune time to send it through.
Visor does come through in a high noon as well. They're trying to counter each other out, but it's not really going to matter at this point in time as the bomb will make it difficult to step through. Blizzard comes out here from Blue Fire. They'll be able to step out for Northern Essex. The 2 will not. Kermie and Tilted. The front line caught off guard and frozen out without a single help from their team. It was forced to take it in the other direction. They'll have to run all the way back, hoping to not let them get any more ult charge, but take a look at that top right corner. Tilted. Maybe it tilted enough to hop off Zarya, now onto the Diva. And they could see some bombs as well to maybe fight some contention. Maybe they want to deny out some of these made blizzards because those are devastating.
They definitely are. Diva can just eat a lot of the crucial ultimates in the current meta. That's why she's such a fantastic pick. Also, can just aggress with our Reinhardt almost effortlessly. The window goes up here, but Smokey the May ends up going down behind it. Northern Essex, though, playing a little passive. They don't want to step into too much amplified damage and get caught out, lose a pick. They've still got this 6 versus 5 advantage going into the final corner.
Yeah, it's a great way to put down the garage door, put it down, and use it as a way to escape, because teams don't want to push into that. It's dangerous to push into that. Hold that angle, watch out in that direction, and trying to, play yourself accordingly. But they'll throw down one of their own. Zara finding a connection as they put it down, helping Osiris connect with a Helix rocket into Smokey the May, and Kermie comes through swinging, finding Monterey, but Osiris yet another Helix to Khakis, and it's just Osiris Kermie. Freaky J throws their name into the field for a little bit there, but it's still just the Soldier and Rhine carrying it up, the older 2 duos inside of the Overwatch League here, and they're going to continue to find themselves rapid success.
Felt so bad for Smokey the May. Goes down first in that previous fight and then gets right back into the mix and just runs right into that Baptiste Matrix on the end of that second point. And now Northern Essex, they found themselves in a very great spot. Dragon Strike's looking like it's coming from behind from Freaky J. Storm Arrow's down 2, and he's not done, still on this high ground. No one even looking at him. Just uncontested damage, raining in arrow after arrow, trying to land the final one on the Blue Fire, but for now, evaded. Headshot after the Storm Arrow gets let loose.
Man, that is disgusting. Freaky coming in from behind and absolutely just throwing them out of contention. You had to see Blue Fire wall up and scarce themselves into a frozen mess at that point in time to escape, but they do not escape. And the Montre with a high noon now trying to stay up, but a shield will block it. Eaton as well. Tilted secures the kill, but a Blizzard on top of the point will make it a little bit more difficult for the last 4.43 meters, and they need to collect these kills. Kermie finds Onizuka. A bomb drops, and Tilted finds Kaki in the process, and now Carroll boots and hits May out for the count. And they're still trying to bake it out. 2 players seemingly remaining on the point. They're Swift players alone, Axe alone, who will be felled last by Tilted. And it looks like Northern Essex will make it narrowly, as Smokey was just centimeters away from being able to contest, but it does not matter. Northern Essex make it the whole way there.
And you can see just how much more aggressive they got once Tilted was on that. Zarya really stopped playing afraid at all. When the speed boosts hit, Tilted was going in with those rockets as well, or had them to escape, but either way, this team was just breathing with the fights much faster. They were keeping up their pace, keeping the tempo with ultimates as well. I think they had one little mishap that entire round where I don't think Tilted grabbed early enough and then decided the hero wasn't working at all. I think that fight where Tilted ended up switching, they could have won if they just grabbed the tempo, using that grab dragon early on second point, and then maybe steamrolling through, but they made that composition work just fine after switching to Diva.
Yeah, I mean, if it works, right? I mean, it may take a little bit longer than they initially had anticipated or wanted it to, but ultimately, they'll give themselves a 2-minute and 32-second time bank now on top, and UC Davis are kind of left with a position where they have to make it all the way there. Whether they have time at the end or not, they have to make it. They have to go all 3 points if they want to take Kings Row, or have a chance to take Kings Row, as it will be more than likely an overtime situation when it comes down to it. So we're seeing Blue Fire now in a Doomfist, but Freaky J, who has been begging me through Carroll to say his name over and over and over again, apparently has found the way into my heart by picking up the Widowmaker choice. So good on you, Freaky J. I love you.
Yeah, paying it right back, you know. You say his name a bunch, he gives you what you want to see. Onto the Widowmaker now. It's a good look to control the high grounds, horseshoeing around the first point of Kings Row, coupled with an Ashe Zara also claiming high ground space on Baptiste. They've got 3 hit scans up there. It's going to be very tricky here for UC Davis to get by this statue without taking too much damage. But right now, the brawl goes in, and Smokey the May takes a truckload of damage up front. But Blue Fire able to rocket punch down Carroll during the distraction, and it's a 5 versus 5.
Yeah, when you've got that Doomface who's able to jump into the back, Blue Fire who found and connected on the kill at the beginning, they're going to switch over to the Mercy, knowing that a Doomfist can kind of struggle against that, but Kaki's fights Kermie, and now you really don't have a front line because Tilted is not in a good position either, but they'll be able to find Blue Fire in the process. Freaky connects a shot in Onizuka, but it looks like we're going to see UC Davis sneak the point and take it despite all of that position. Man, Northern Essex just getting caught off guard. This hit scan, I hate to say the snipers aren't working, but they got that a little bit too quickly.
And these snipers just won't work on second point. I think there's almost no way. The angles just aren't quite there. Third point, it's a better looking comp, but this is the only real part of the Streets phase where this comp looks any good, and that's why. This is the longest sight line right onto the spawn door. Freaky J doesn't miss the shot onto Axe alone. Has the Mercy damage boost as well. Goes up to the window, taking very aggressive positions. I would imagine they swap off of this Widowmaker the second the cart moves past this point of Streets, so you might as well just be as aggressive as possible while you're on it. Finds another onto Monterey. Can they get a third?
I literally went out of my way. I never do this. I went out of my way to take and look at Freaky J's specific point of view. Oh, so that was nasty.
Are you okay, man?
Oh, that's just Blue Fire. That was targeted. That was targeted harassment right there. No, I got to watch that shot. It was very nice, but Blue Fire will be able to just completely decimate any of those backwards snipers, finding Osiris in the end as well, and fighting Carroll in the process. Blue Fire and Monterey are just really showing their presence. Right at the moment, Smokey the May hasn't had the most spectacular Kings Row map, but they don't necessarily need it when they're attacking, when their DPS is popping off on every single cylinder possible. This is phenomenal from them.
Yeah, Blue Fire looks great on this Doomfist. That's a hero that comes into this game and does exactly what Northern Essex was succeeding in. Just takes away their tempo. Doomfist kit can cycle so quickly, is so mobile, so active, so disruptive. That's what we're seeing from Blue Fire. That double sniper comp had no way of keeping up with this hero. Now they've switched Freaky J over to the Tracer to up their pace.
Shatter for Shatter. It's the one from Kermie that finds more success, but an Immortality Field will be dropped. A Diva Bomb from Tilted finds Axelone, and the fight has to go up, and a bomb has been tossed. Osiris having their little helper do some work for them as well, but it'll be Zara on a Zenyatta to find Blue Fire to clean it up. A charge from Kermie finds Khakis, and a couple swings finds Smokey the May. Man, it's when we don't talk about them for a few moments, they come right back. That front line from Northern Essex rearing their beautiful head and finding such rapid success. But that was a lot of utility that had to be used from them, and now UC Davis have a little bit more ult charge in their pocket than their opponents.
And I don't know if we really caught this or really talked about it too much, but Zara swapped over to the Zenyatta. I think that's a fantastic look to counter the Graviton Surge from Khaki's Blue Fire. It's taken down by Osiris there. But the Discord, oh, they're not done. Freaky J comes in with a Pulse Bomb to take down Smokey, and that's going to buy the res back onto Osiris. But what I was saying is the Zenyatta, the Discord amplifies so much damage collectively that you can really burst down a front line. Even though this team has a Baptiste and a Lucia, they can play fast, they can play with the Immortality. Zara can orb that down as well, has a Transcendence to get them through tough fights. Zen is just that glass cannon hero where if you're not being pressured constantly, the value you output is insanely immense.
Absolutely. I love Zenyatta. Such a fun hero in this game. But a Garage Door now placed by Onizuka, an Immortality Field to follow suit. But it'll be a Transcendence drop from Zara to just make sure nothing can happen off the top of it. But a Shatter from Smokey finds so much, comboed with a Doom Strike. And it's going to go in the favor now as Smokey cleans up 3, now 4. And it's going to be all blue in the feed. Make it 5. They team kill it off in the last few moments. Smokey finding 5 and Blue Fire collecting with the ultimate to 1. Could have been a team ace in the process from Kermie, from Smokey the May alone. But that is such a great way to do it. Now 3.5 minutes now for UC Davis to push this last few meters.
And in that last fight, the little micro action that happened was Tilted tried so hard to eat that Graviton Surge and expended all of their defensive matrix before it even really got let loose. And then the Shatter landed, everyone was down, nothing could have eaten the grab anyway. And then it just spelled disaster for this defense. But now we're seeing the attackers come right back in, looking like they've collected a kill on the Tilted. Can they make any more? But Freaky J also goes down. That is the stopping power for this team. The attackers roll into 2 more kills. Smokey the May not stopping there. Monterey and Blue Fire clean up the last 2.
That is 2 team kills in the last 30 seconds. 2 team kills, last 30 seconds. Northern Essex, they desperately need to find a solution because right now UC Davis are tearing through them. They find 1 kill and then they capitalize. They punish you accordingly. You lose 1 and they say now you lose 5. Now you lost the last. Nothing they can do about it. The fight has to go forward. Freaky sneaks and finds Blue Fire with a nice shot. Still trying to contest forward as they'll take out the Immortality Field, but a Shatter from Smokey finds so much, saved by an Immortality Field, and a High Noon from Monterey will only find Bob, but Zara connects onto Smokey. They gotta contest the point, but it's going in both directions as Onizuka finds 2 to Kermie and Zara, showing healers can do it too with that hit scan play, and Tilted knocks Axelone off the map. Blue in the feed as Blue Fire takes Freaky, but Tilted finds 2 of her own. Blue Fire is not going to be stopped, however. 0.58 meters away. They will narrowly escape. They have to touch. Here comes the ults. It's going to do a lot of damage on the way down. Who does it go for? It's just going to be to escape.
Goes for Monterey. Goes to his teammate. High five. How you doing, buddy? Well, Blue Fire did everything in their power to try and keep that one alive for UC Davis, but in the end, it just wasn't enough. 2 members went down to gravity. One was booped. Monterey looked like he just rolled right off of the point. And I think that might have been what ended up costing that fight, which was pretty difficult to lose because now the time banks are no longer very competitive. That was a very important fight for UC Davis to win.
Man, Freaky, who's going to go and pop the High Noon, now taken out as Onizuka will punish accordingly. And Smokey the Main shield be felled by Kermie, who hits a Shatter kill on Axelone alone and will clean up on a Monterey as well. Tilted able to find their own, but in the end, it's still Kermie who collects everything else with a nice Fire Strike to end things off into Onizuka. this frontline differential that we've been noticing the entire time. This last point for this brawling section, Kermie has been able to deny their opposing player, Smokey the May. She just hasn't been able to connect enough. It's these shatters, though, that give them any chance. And Smokey, she has that coming up soon. She could find so much impact off of that if they could just get deep enough into the back line of this Northern Essex side and connect with enough, but they can't connect at all because Zara hits a nice orb. Gosh, Discord is just awful to deal with.
Yeah, you can see it up in the scoreboards too. Whoever's got that Discord has the icon right next to them. Looks like a little sphere with a minus symbol in it. And it was just living on Smokey the May for probably 10 seconds on her way into the fight and never even showed up. Killed before she got to the welcome mat. And that is just the power of Discord. And now Baptiste Matrix powering up Northern Essex as well. But a shatter gets laid down by Smokey. Finally finds something. Zara is no more, but neither is Smokey. Infernosis, it's anyone's game going into Kings Row third still. Osiris!
Oh my goodness, Osiris finds 3 in the process. That is the nail in the coffin. It was a nail biter through and through to the last few moments, but Northern Essex narrowly escaping. This one was even closer than all of what we saw last map. I mean, this was insane by all accounts. I want to see this play of the game. It's got to be the tanks, right? Like, obviously, it was going to go to Smokey or Kermie. It's going to Smokey. She comes in. This was a fat connection, just absolutely devastating, comboed with that grab you talked about. When you don't got tilted to eat that because they wasted that field like you had spoken about, then, you know, they're going to collect off of it.
Yeah, pretty tricky. Just run over right there. Both tanks seeming to do so much work, but in the end, it was Kermie putting a stop to that freight train that kept on coming at them, wave after wave. Smokey the May, that is. And I think the difference was honestly the Baptiste and the Zenyatta. That's a support line you don't see too much with Brawl, but the damage it outputs, you can see that Smokey the May has a very difficult time dealing with it. It's immense when you have that Discord on you and a hitbox the size of a Reinhardt.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great match to behold. What a great series so far. But we're going to take a short 5-minute break in between this map and the next one. Scoreline so far, Northern Essex 2 and UC Davis 0 as of this point in time. But it's still anyone's game. UC Davis needs to change quite literally probably only 1 or 2 things, small things, and they could contest Northern Essex. It's weird to think that this 2nd seed and 7th seed are so close. But we'll do a quick little ad break. We'll catch you guys real short.
Producer smells.
Does he?
Yeah.
I think
like
so. Where is the producer?
Dude, you never know. We could be alive right now. What did you do this weekend?
Just might be, actually. What am I doing this weekend, or what did I do this weekend?
What did you do last weekend?
Oh, last weekend. Let's see. I casted Collegiate Art 6 Finals, so that was pretty fun. What was that, producer? We already
tried to go to ad break, you knucklehead.
Actually, yeah.
Oh, that's okay. We're going to an ad break, chat.
We'll see you guys real soon.
Hey man, I just can't find a comfortable headset. I mean, I've tried everything. Literally everything.
Sheesh, my brother. I got you.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
That is comfortable.
Oh,
Muted. All right, welcome back, chat. Apparently I wasn't quite ready for it, but we've got map 3 almost underway here, and right off the bat, Northern Essex looking strong, jumping out. They've already got a win condition for the series on lock in this next map. We could have a quick one on our hands. How does UC Davis come up with some answers to what Northern Essex is running?
well, they're going to have to find something because this is the dreaded 2CP assault right now.
Oof.
So we saw Tibble of Anubis earlier, and I literally said it was probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest play I've actually had the pleasure of witnessing that I saw come through. It was a minute and 3 seconds, or minute and 2 seconds total for them to get to a pip and a half, which is all they needed to do to win it. They just sat in lounge, the left doorway, to go that left loop around, but they didn't actually go through the loop. They just sat in that room, and they just waited there for 15 seconds. 15 to 20 seconds, and then they came back out, they rushed to the high ground, and they Maywalled up onto the high ground.
No
and
way. What division? Wait, what division was this?
This was Champions Division, if I remember correctly. I may be
That makes some sense. I was like, if you say
remember.
like, if you said something a little lower, I'd be like, that's an insane rotation. I can imagine just the speed of it too. There's no way you're ready to respond to that.
Yeah, you're not. They absolutely were not. They started rotating back around through. There was like, oh, if they won't come to us, we'll go to them. And then they weren't there because they looped you in a circle. It was like a game of Do-Si-Do. It's like those Looney Tunes sketches. Or like the old Scooby-Doo where they just start going through different doors, Yeah. And they just took the objective and they just killed everyone. It was insane. It was actually monstrous. So we didn't actually have to see 2CP. We just saw one. And it never got completed to its full extent because it was just such a phenomenal job holding it out. But this one's going to be a little bit differently. Obviously, we're not inside Champions. We're inside Challengers Division. These teams have been insanely neck and neck when it comes to the control point. We've seen them be extremely neck and neck when it comes to payload. That's obviously not an option here, but a lot of time you have to travel to get to the points. There's going to be a massive respawn timer for that first CP to get all the way back over there to go for it. I mean, there's so much you have to worry about for both sides now that I don't think we're ever going to see that second point actually get capped. It's just going to be a battle of who can cap it the most.
I think you're right. Second point is kind of the Thunderdome in Overwatch. It's just bare bones. There's nothing in the way. First point, however, is one of the most strategized points in all of Overwatch. We see it in the Overwatch League, in contenders. I remember in the very first couple of games of the Overwatch League, it was in the map pool, and we were seeing teams rotate on defense all the way around with a Widowmaker to perch them up right on that main choke high ground. Infernosis, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. That's a Widowmaker's dream sightline. We're seeing teams, like you said, Maywall up Orisas onto that high ground to just start off defenses that way. And you can really fortify pretty hard on this first point, make some insane rotations. But second point, all guns are let loose. And I think that's where we could see a player like Bluefire really shine on Doomfist if it gets that far.
Absolutely. I mean, May, as we already know, Bluefire likes May. So we probably are going to see that come through, like you said. I think May is just such a pivotal thing to put down those walls as an extra layer of shield. You put up a wall, and then your Reinhardt can drop the shield. You don't need a speed boost during that time just to let the wall do the business. And then the second that wall's gone or you pass that wall, Ryan shield up, speed boost activated, and make your way to the point quite swiftly and protected. But when it comes to that second point, you can't do that. You can't make it all the way through. You've got to have to go loop all the way to the side. You have a big safety net if you take the left route under and play inside of Catacombs. You're a little bit weak, I guess. You can take a lot of damage because you're in the open on the right side, but there's a lot of routes through. You can just go straight down the middle. I guess it just kind of depends on how confident you are, but ultimately, it's just brawling. It's just like you got a 10-second respawn max as a defensive player to make it back to point. And meanwhile, the attackers have to go respawn all the way back to this first CP and then run all the way back over there. And then by that time, their entire team is dead. And then it's just another layer of staggering. You have to be really careful. The attack has to win not just one battle in a row, but 2 or 3 if they want to take that point in any substantial amount.
Yeah, this is like the poster boy map for everyone who hates 2CP. This is the one that comes to mind. At least that second point, the respawns are insane. The mega health packs are right there, so you can just get a lot of momentum out of thin air on that second point on defense. But we're seeing some interesting compositions come out for this defense. Pretty standard for UC Davis, running a Junkrat on this point, just to make it a nightmare to get through these chokes, opting out of the May, opting out of a Doomfist pick. But I think that's a fantastic pick. Riptire itself has a ton of potential to swing back fights. We saw it in earlier games where you drive it around for a few extra seconds and it's just an audio threat to the other team that cues them up to play so passively. It's an ultimate that really gives you a lot of extra life on defense.
we're seeing 2 Junkrats brush the table here, which is interesting. I know that Junkrat's extremely popular when it comes to this map for good reason, but we're going to have to keep an eye out for those Riptires. You're going to have to keep an eye out for so much of that explosive ordnance that can just break through shields so easily. But we're rocking a Winston, we're rocking a Hammonds. They're really trying to go through it. Northern Essex have a flank already going up. Smokey will be able to find Zara and connect with the first kill. But you still have to worry about the flank from behind because Kermie's dropped in. It will be forced now to drop out to step away, and Zara revived and resurrected by Caroline. And this fight, it's still going on. They're still trapped inside this roundabout corner.
Yeah, a great job from Freaky J to just get into the point, turn them around, buy some space, they get the res off, and Tilted after being res finds 2 with a concussion bind. Sorry, he wasn't the res, Zara was, but anyway, Tilted finds 4. That's the story of this fight.
And what a story it is, a headline, because now that defense has to go all the way back. They're not going to make it in time. They can maybe have one player step, but I think Monterey just knows it's over. There's no way to contest that. You've got Freaky going all the way forward on that Hammond, just, getting a little bit of tag damage off. I don't even think we saw an ultimate at all, did we, in that entire fight? So we see Northern Essex take that fight without needing to expend any ultimate. So this next fight on this second point is going to be an ultimate battle for the ages.
Yeah, Tilted almost has that Riptire, so does Bluefire, so those should be traded out this fight. No immortality field on the side of Northern Essex. That's what I'm noticing here as Axelone goes down. This Riptire coming up from Bluefire could be huge. Zara able to find the immortality field. Kaki's mech goes down. Tilted with the biggest tire we've seen, though, and that's a 3K.
Tilted has connected with 2 3Ks now in the same match. Hainu now being popped from Osiris. Not able to find impact, but it does not matter. 5 minutes and 2 seconds. I am leaving. Like I said is I'm not going to see the second point get captured. It's just not a thing that's going to happen. Okay, well, you know what? Northern Essex, you guys stink or something. I'm upset with you.
They
not
got
happy.
5 minutes, 2 seconds on the clock. Infernosis, that's more time than you get when you start the game. They cap that point in the future. Right? My math is wrong? Explain to me how this works. They have 5 minutes and 2 seconds. That's not how much time you get at the start. Stop laughing at me. Alright, you're in timeout. Tilted is the player of this map so far with some next level Junkrat play. Just cleaning up everything on the first point, rip-tiring the second to just lock up both points almost single-handedly. And you really don't see that too often with a dive comp on Anubis. Infernosis, are you back in the action?
Yeah, sorry.
All right.
That was really funny. That got me a little bit more than it should have. Protected in the future.
They capped it in the future, man.
So funny.
Wait, how much time do you start with? 4 minutes, right? A minute and 2 seconds. in the
Honestly,
future?
at this point, I'm questioning my own life. It's 5 minutes and 3 seconds. That's exactly how much you get to start off with. So it's not in the future. You're 1 second off. No,
What a bummer that would be.
that would be pretty targeted, I guess you could say. But look at this high ground Kerm he's taking off on top of the veranda for that short route. You get 4 minutes. So a minute of 2 minutes, literally 2 minutes of viable time. Because it takes you about 30 to 40 seconds to get a substantial push to get started for an attacking side. So obviously as well, when Kakis gets sniped out immediately by Osiris, you're going to have to worry about a large amount of that. They're damage boosting this. Now, I know for a fact Carol loves to damage boost Widowmakers because I only play Widowmaker and I make them support me. So, we know it works.
Yeah, and I think you've probably shown her that it works. Maybe in a different scenario she would be pocketing Tilted on this Junkrat, but I think Tilted has proved that they can do enough on their own. Zara also is a massive damage outputter, and Osiris up on this perch. Pretty much impossible to reach anytime soon from this choke for the attackers. A Mercy Pocket here does an insane amount of work, headshotting down Monterey again. Bluefire as well. Osiris just putting a stop to this attack wave after wave.
That is devastating. Osiris cannot be stopped at this point in time. Monterey's had to target pick out a Widowmaker as well. Now hoping to find as much impact or more, and will have to. Kakis is killing themselves apparently by right-clicking into the floor, and now the ultimate does come out from Osiris pretty early on into this one, and the only other ultimate we see on the board is going to be Onizuka's boost, and that's just because of how much damage has been dealt to their team. They just have to heal that much so they can have that ultimate already ready to play.
Yeah, and you can see how they just had to coordinate that rotation right side. very swiftly, the Winston jumped in and bubbled just to get him through. That's how threatening Osiris seems to them, where they just have to have that next level of compact play as they come in. Now they can maybe expend the nano boost onto the Winston and make a lot more space, dive this Widow, but instead they go on to Zara and Smokey. The May goes down in a flash. Osiris still undealt with up on this high ground. Infernosis, it seems like this defense has no cracks in their armor right now.
Yeah, they are absolutely just solid as all get out. You're having to see Gakis had made the rotation to the Hammond. It's not working out because Osiris will counter it out. Freaky J had a bit of a 2-minute fight going on with Monterey, who was also the Widowmaker. That's why you never saw them come out of their own spawn. They were just getting forced to stay back there, forced to stay in that direction, and they just got punished. There's nothing they could do about it. So the fight that is just going so handily in Northern Essex's favor, it's continuing to do so, because every single time you see this dive combo that works so well against Widows, it gets shut down by the Widow. This is the dream scenario if you're a Widowmaker main. Osiris is living the best life right now.
Yeah, Osiris is king of the castle. Headshots down Axe alone after she went for that res there. Pretty unfortunate. Smokey the May goes down onto the point and quickly erased by Freaky J and Osiris up top. Northern Essex just going to sit on these ultimates. Minute left in this match. They can move on in the playoffs if they just keep their win condition in check. And I think 5 ultimates is a pretty good way to lock down the last minute.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not looking great right now for UCD. They're going to need a miracle, and losing players back and forth like Onizuka and Monterey is not what you want to do. Kirby tilted, and now Freaky J on that, Hammond on Hammond violence. The hamsters need to stop attacking each other at this point in time. That's actually a thing real hamsters do, actually. They will eat each other. It's kind of crazy, in fact. But they still, with 5 ults in pocket for Northern Essex and no substantial push being substantiated from UC Davis, it's not boding well for them.
Yeah, it's going to be very tricky. They're going to rotate again toward the right side, maybe stage a dive onto Osiris for the first time this round, but really there's just no focus fire on this team we're seeing at all. Riptire comes in, but it's stalled out now, like we talked about, going into the back line to find a pair. Osiris, though, finally dealt with. The Resurrect should be there for Carol, just using this getting the most value out of that ultimate before finally going in. Rezzing Osiris back up. Monterey also res, has to be careful that this McCree doesn't get too close. Now grapples up to that high ground, has a great overlook of the entire point, but currently locked in to do with Monterey, helped out by Zara. And now it looks like Northern Essex has everything locked down onto the point, and no ultimates are coming online anytime soon for UC Davis. That looks like their season, and a clean 3-0 in the first round for Northern Essex.
Yeah, what a great way to start that off. It was so close on the first 2 maps. We got to see it go back and forth, a 2-1 scoreline, and on our control point map of choice. Heading over to Kings Row, you saw such a phenomenal job, and then going back and forth with Northern Essex, able to save it just barely. This one was just Northern Essex the entire way. Which triple kill was it? Well, it had to be the Riptire. Heads into the back room, buys a couple bit of time, and finds 3 in the process. A big thumbs up as well, really just showing off as of that moment, and they spectacularly finished that one off. I mean, what a great way to go into that. I was thinking, you can't get much better if you're Northern Essex in that match, because they were just playing spectacularly, and then they just do this. They pull this out. They didn't need to have this massive take lane differential when their DPS just showed up and said, hey, bye to the opposing team.
Yeah, 2CP was a great example of how Tilted was just playing on another level. Freaky J was the DPS previously in this game, but this team clearly has a lot of flexibility between their tanks and their damage dealers. I think everyone on the roster, though, top to bottom, they were doing their jobs almost perfectly in sync. It was like a hive mind mentality. This is not the team we saw last week that was missing 3 of their starters. They clearly came to play today. Everyone was excited to go into this match, and they come out on top 3-0.
Absolutely, and we'll be heading into a short break in between this map and an interview with a player for the side of Northern Essex. We'll have that coming to you, but even after the interview, make sure to stay tuned, because we'll have another map, another game, an entirely new one right after that to keep you guys entertained, and that will be the last one of the night for this quarterfinals of the NECC, but make sure to stay tuned. We'll catch you guys in just a short 5-minute time period.
Hey man, I just can't find a comfortable headset. I mean, I've tried everything. Literally everything.
Sheesh, my brother. I got you.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
That is comfortable.
All right, little post game after that 3-0 Northern Essex win over UC Davis. Infernosis, do you have any opening thoughts before we get into a bundle of interviews with a gaggle of Northern Essex players? It's a word for a plural of things. Listen,
You
you gotta
are
stop laughing. All right,
you
go
are an
with some of
enigma
these.
today. You are an enigma today. I'm usually like I'm used to having like a duo that I crack jokes with, like dad jokes with. I've never had a duo that cracks more like vernacular jokes than I do. Just, like uses like fancy words. It's always just like basic like bottom of the mill dad jokes, but this is just like over the head China jokes. This is great. I'm liking this right here. But no, beyond the fact that Northern Essex did what a lot of people were expecting, they were the second seed overall. I mean, they could have been the first seed had they not taken that loss last week. Obviously, we know for a fact that they were a spectacular team and will be able to continue to show that reign going forward. So they're going to have to show it all off here as we get to the semifinals next, and they're going to be facing
Is
a
this a
difficult
shadow?
opponent that is continuing to have found success for themselves. So I think that it's going to be interesting to see whether or not they can continue that and maybe get back-to-back wins.
I think they're pretty capable of getting back-to-back wins. Northern Essex, you guys can unmute your mics. What do you guys think? Are you pretty capable of getting back-to-back wins?
Oh, dude, more than capable. What do you think?
Yes, sir.
All right, all right. You guys flexed it around again on tanks and on DPS. Freaky J, we've seen that from you and Tilted before. Tilted, what was up on attack, on Junkrat, on Anubis? You pretty much capped both points by yourself. Not to like take a slight at the rest of your team, but you just came in, got 3 kills on the first point, 3 on the second, and a flash. That was insane.
It's all in the mines.
All in the mines.
No, the second one was a rip tire.
The rip tire is something else, though. I love playing around with rip tires. You can ask my team. I love having fun with them and try to get as many people as I can.
Yeah, no, I had
It's
to
just
ask
built
him
different.
if he was okay, dude. He was going off.
Good to check in on him every now and then. Carol, you let me down. I was betting that you were going to get a lot of environmental kills on Nepal
No.
Sanctum, and I think you got a goose egg. So what's up with that?
Yeah, I tried, but it's just I think I almost got the diva once, but then she flew back up. So what
She
can you
does
do?
that.
They kept going
Yeah.
left side.
Yeah, they didn't want to be on the point.
Yeah, they
I
were
don't
all
blame
dead
them.
They
before.
did.
Well,
You're
they
pretty
also
dangerous.
wanted Dollar
That
because of
sounds so
that.
bad. Now that I
We capped 99% because they were afraid of going on the point.
It's a scary point. There's nowhere to hide. Infernosis, you got any questions?
No, a big thank you to Caroline for the $1 that I'm going to get off of Yunk because of that. So thank you very much. But beyond that, it was
Wow.
close for the initial stages. Kings Row was close. You guys were neck and neck throughout and keeping the tempo. And obviously, one of y'all Streets phase was better than the other, but it really did culminate into that last phase, that last section. And you both teams really struggled on both sides for it. And obviously, when they take a round on you on control, that makes it also a little bit difficult. But third map, you guys just swept. I mean, it's a completely different style. Is that because of sub choices? Is that because just you felt more comfortable on assault because you're weirdos, or is that like a different reason?
Definitely weirdos. Definitely Junkrat. Definitely hamster.
Yep, and
Yeah.
Definitely
momentum.
Widow, too.
We also had a lot
Osiris
of
was-
momentum.
Oh
already.
yeah,
No,
dude, this kid's
no,
a
that's
maniac.
another
How
big
could I
point.
forget?
Osiris, unmute your mic right
That
now.
was nuts.
What's up, guys?
I am a Widowmaker mate, so obviously I'm below human garbage. So it's got there's obviously some arguments to be made there, but it's pretty obvious where it is. You lived the Widowmaker dream. To be totally honest with you, I mean, nobody was able to contest you. They switched to Hammond, they couldn't do it. Their Winston couldn't make it over. You guys just managed to keep them so at bay that Osiris was given the space to just hit headshot after headshot and just fight. I saw at one point in time they switched to a Widow as well, and I don't think Osiris ever saw them because Freaky just jumped in and said, okay, I'll keep you over here inside your own spawn. I won't worry about it. It'll take me 20 minutes to kill you because it did take you 2 minutes to kill them in their own spawn, but you still did it, and Osiris had free reign because of it. Like, what's going through Osiris's head? Because I know what's going through my head. It's just endorphins in that moment, just happiness juice in the brain. What's going through your head when you're just hitting everything?
To tell you the truth, I didn't expect myself to hit everything. I usually don't play Widow that often, so I expected me to like miss a few shots. Sometimes I even tell Caroline to like, what's it called, boost someone else, because I honestly don't rely myself on Widow.
He's humble.
Shut up! Like
Oh,
I tell you this every single time.
Shut up.
I tell you this every single time. Like I'm not
Accept
really
your
that
fate.
confident in Widow. I don't really believe myself in Widow, but I enjoy playing her, which is why I pick her. Honestly, this is like the one map I always pick her, and I try to like, get headshots. I remember Freaky saying specifically like, "Hey Jason, don't worry about Widow. I'm gonna be on top of her every time." And the one time I saw her, I was able to flick on her head, and luckily ever since then I didn't have to worry about the Widow. While for the ball and the Winston, honestly, the Winston, I didn't feel like pressure out of him, but the ball from time to time I did. And when I saw he was gonna power drive on me, I had shift available, so I can just leave his power drive and try to like kill him from afar.
So their tanks got gapped, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, and
My
Freaky
God.
really just harassed their opposing Widow. I mean, that's really what it came down to. Is just, hey, don't worry, I got this. They literally won't be allowed to play the game
Yeah,
for 3
quite
minutes.
literally,
maybe-
from my perspective, it was I was sitting there pocketing with Cyrus, and Freaky was just sitting on top, and he was like, "I'm just gonna keep shooting her every time she pokes out."
The one thing that made me
And it
sad,
worked.
the one thing that made me sad is that Anna slapped me then teabagged me. I'm like, come on, man.
Tactical crouching.
Yeah,
It's
my
a
fault,
part of
my
the
fault.
game.
Tactical crouching
Yeah,
is part of the game. Yep.
tactical Yonk, you got
It's
any
in your head.
questions?
Not really. I mean, you stuck to your game plan. That was kind of the outcome that I was expecting. 2 seed going up a 7 seed. Coming off of last week, where were your heads at after not having like 2-3 starters, getting 0-3'd, your first loss of the season, kind of a big one, a heavy hitter, but you bounced back no problem. So where were your heads at last week, seeing this one on the schedule? Anyway, I'm going
Didn't think
with
about it at
Freaky
all.
J. I'm going with
Never.
Freaky J.
So yeah, a little upset after losing. That's the first
Yeah, to switch his
game
stream
we've
title.
lost in this conference, and I have streamed always with undefeated collegiate masterminds, something along those lines. I can't use it anymore.
That's
Kind of
such a
bummed out,
bummer.
but nah, we had to go into this game really confident because every other team aside from CSUDH we've beat before, so kind of just had to stick to what we know.
Yeah, and I'm back now, so we don't lose.
Oh yeah, Kermie 100% win rate in the NECC.
The actual undefeated
There you go.
collegiate legend.
You still got one. You still got one.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's all going to come down to you guys are now heading into the semifinals, and then you win that, you'll be making it to the finals once again. What's going through your head is you very well could get back-to-back NECC, first place trophies.
That's the goal. Trying to win 2.
Easy money, easy headset. Let's go.
Easy headset. Who's the team that you think is going to be the toughest other than CSUDH?
Probably
Well,
USM.
I would have said the team that they beat today because we tied against them.
Yeah.
And we beat USM.
Either of those teams, really.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are even looking a little better after today than you maybe thought you could have been.
Well, we're always looking good, man.
I know. I mean, you're Northern Essex. You're
even better
7-1-1,
with Kermie.
20 map wins, 1 draw, 6 losses. You're nuts.
We were missing Kermie week 9. We fell apart because we
Oh man.
missed him so much.
I don't know what to do without the big
You lost the
rectangle in
Kermit the
front of me.
Frog, man. It's unfortunate.
You mean
Oh.
the 17 shadows?
Yeah, that
That was
that's
big.
a big reminder. That's
Kermit
huge. That's
Shatter
insane.
17.
Oh.
Yeah, that was nuts. Good night. You had in that play of the game, you swung 4 times, and in one of those swings, you got 2 kills in the same swing. So they were
That's
just
pretty
jumping
insane.
into your hammer. Like it was just like a dare or something. I mean, they were just
That was
eating
against
it.
me. Come on.
I mean, if I see Kermit swinging at me, I'm going right in.
Yep.
Yeah.
The
just
nanos
get
are
it over-
Whoa, wait.
Get it over with.
Is that are you implying you need brain damage to hang out with Kermit or like?
I mean, whatever I can do to get close to the guy.
He just wants to be taken into Kermit's loving arms.
So
Oh,
you
yeah,
guys obviously
definitely.
have really good team chemistry. You guys obviously
Yeah,
really
we're all
get
like
along.
best friends.
Do you
We're
guys
each other's
think
only
that-
friends. We don't have any
My,
friends.
yeah, my only
You
friend.
guys
I
wanna
see how it
play
is,
Among Us?
Caroline. I see how it is. Do you guys think that chemistry really gives you guys like a clinical edge above your opponents?
Yep, definitely.
Oh yeah.
They
we
might
can
be
flame each
friends
other.
over there. I don't know.
for bad plays.
If they're best friends on another team, I don't know if we can hang.
Till it's freezing.
Yeah, true.
That might be an auto loss.
All right. Well, that's all the questions I have. How about you, here?
Ricky J gets jealous.
That's all the questions I had as well. All right, Northern Essex, you are free to go. Enjoy your win. Congrats again.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Take care.
Time to eat salad part 2. Goodbye.
Well, this has been the NECC. We have another game coming at you real soon. Really excited for that one to come through. And, it's just going to be me and Yelk again. So probably more dumb jokes with really dumb vocabulary and really advanced. I think that's what? JWU versus Midland in the Gladiators division, right?
Yeah, Midland, the team that won the Gladiators last semester, so they're looking to start another playoff run, keep the success going. JW going to be a pretty tough opponent to get things started with.
Yeah, and I mean Midland, if they won the time before, they're going to have to face against the number one seeded Boise State, right? I mean, they're going to have to face who they're first. They got a bye week, same as UC Santa Cruz, so a tough matchup to behold. But we'll catch you guys real soon in the next one that we can have a nice fun time with. But my name's been Infernos, is joined here by Yelk. You'll see us in 5 minutes, and stay tuned.
Hey man, I just can't find a comfortable headset. I mean, I've tried everything. Literally everything.
Jeez, my brother. I got you.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
That is comfortable.